Welcome to a moment of intriguing introspection beyond the realms of fear, hesitancy, and doubt. A deep dive into the questions of the ages shared with the courage that may challenge perception, yet teases open the expansive depth of conscious awareness. This is a rare and unique moment in our collective history. And beyond all sense of dogma, I am Master Lady Kira Raa, promising to call forward the essence of all that you are. Join me as I offer the latest self-ascension revelations with supportive wisdom. And why not remember that peace, love, and joy are your birthright? So this is the moment to bring your hand to your heart and to give yourself the gift of relaxing into a deep breath with a wondrous exhale. I look forward to joining you right now in another episode of Expanding Consciousness. Well, namaste everyone, and welcome to a very, very special moment here at Expanding Consciousness, because this episode is a two-parter. This is episode 1. You're going to have to wait a week if you're grabbing us in real time for the second one, because I really encourage you to digest this material. I really, with all my heart and soul, invite you in this moment to say thank you to yourself. You know, to really bring that deep, beautiful, heart-centered moment of appreciation for all that you are, for all that you have ever been through, for all that you have evolved through, for every single breath, every experience, everything that has brought you to this moment right now. And to really feel that, I want to invite you to really bring your hands to your heart, really feel the depth of that. Because when this series started, when Expanding Consciousness came to the air and all the different forms that it's taking over at amfm247.com, which I hope you're supporting, and over at our YouTube channel, Official 𝐟𝐸 and Kira, and all the other places this appears, the terrestrial radio stations, this has been meant to be really 𝐟𝐸 and my encyclopedia of consciousness, a place where, whether you're grabbing us in 2024 as this episode is being put into this sequential timeline right now, whether you're grabbing us in whatever experience of time, to know that this is a moment of divine connection. It's just a respite. It's a moment to take that deep exhale and say, you know, I'm going to give myself this gift. I'm going to allow myself to sink into this, and especially in this moment right now. So as we dive into this first episode of a two-part series, so you want to make sure you're right back for the next one next week, I want to bring you on a journey. And it's a journey that for 𝐟𝐸 and I started in 2010. And the reason I'm starting with this is because all of the medicines, and that's where we're going tonight. We're talking about these ancient medicines. We're talking about the weaving of these medicines. There's so many beautiful indigenous traditions that are still thriving on this planet or surviving on this planet, carrying with them ancient medicine. And we are at a moment where even the word medicine is falling prey to a manipulation that it has never fallen to before. And this is not the first time that I have been in this body of form, that this body of form with the conscious awareness that is animating has run into this. Because the last time it was right at 2012. And what's so fascinating is that whenever we have a rise in the awareness of medicines and in the utilization of the medicines, what's really valuable is to, and that's why this is a two-part series, there's a lot to share and decompress here. There's a moment where when you are recognizing, when you are coming forward, when you are gazing into the depth of medicine, it's important to really kind of step back, really take a broad view, and let's look at how we got here and why. Because in the knowing of how we arrived at this moment, the solution's birth, the mind relaxes and consciousness steps forward. And at the end of the day, that's what all of the medicines are about. All of them. Every single medicine. And when a medicine is called forward in the energy and the essence of the divine journey, then truly it is of the highest. And of all things that can be of the highest, there is also the antithesis of that. And that's the extraordinary moment that humanity finds itself at right now. You know, as this episode is coming forward, as this episode is birthing onto this planet, we have just entered into July 2024, a stunning Mercury restoration. I don't even want to call it a retrograde. It is a Mercury restoration because it is here to call forward this extraordinary, I call it the reflective mirrors of the two moons of this month, putting everything in the spotlight, everything in the spotlight. And when everything comes into the spotlight, that's when the medicines come forward. That's what medicines do. That's what their function is to call that which was hidden, usually from ourselves, to call that which was unable to be found forward, to bring it into this now moment without anything other than the gift of witnessing that. Now, I want to stop here for a moment because in order to really understand the ancient medicine, I mean, to really understand it, what you would be gazing at is that imagine that you are the third dimensional being. This is the body of form, the one that you're with right now. Well, the medicine that supports that is density, computers, the illusion, every single thing that we are normally believe is real is the supporting cast of our third dimensional experience. And in that, we stand at what I like to refer to as humanity's 12 o'clock hour, because that is the ultimate medicine, the physical body. The third dimensional body is humanity's 12 o'clock hour. It is the original fall. It is to come into this body. And so all medicine is about freeing from that body in the recognition that there is more than this body, which is where the perennial philosophies come in and all of the other textures and layers of our incredible gift of weaving how we have been on this planet, how we've sustained ourselves, how we collectively come together to create this experience. So in that third dimensional moment, there comes a moment where you know there is more. It's a movement from a me, and it often comes into the form of a we. It's a lift. It's a breath that realizes that there's more than just the self. And in that, we first gaze up. And in that gaze up, we learn to really spread our wings, so to speak. And that's when we lift into what many people call the fifth dimension. It's when we first become the witnesser of that third dimensional self. It's where we can hold compassion and forgiveness. It's where we can lift. It's the medicine of awareness. Oh, and awareness, conscious awareness, is the medicine that frees us from the entrapment that limits our ability to be. So just take a moment and breathe that in, because we're going to be weaving through all the medicines. I assure you, all of them, all of the ones that are informed, the psychedelics, the non-psychedelics, how these medicines weave together, how they have come together. However, for this experience of learning about them, I'm inviting you to expand beyond. I'm inviting you to open your mind a little broader, to stand taller, to relax judgment, because that's when we stand. That's when we stand from what many people would call the fifth dimension. We've been this witnesser of the third dimension, but it's when we can relax judgment, including the judgment of ourself, that we begin to stand and become the witnessing, non-judgmental presence that is able to call forward solutions that cannot even reveal themselves until you're able to be consciously standing in this field. It is that witnessing of the witnesser. And that is a profound moment when that seventh dimensional experience, the medicine of consciousness itself, has been woven into a field whereby you can be conscious of the physical body and the emotional body. You can be so consciously aware of them, aware of what they are saying, especially if they are suffering. Imagine the gift of being conscious that your body and your emotional body are suffering as you would become aware of the potency of the awareness itself. Now I want you to really breathe that in, because this is where the medicines, the ground medicines, the plant medicines, the medicines that are often born in this field of density. Remember, everything that's co-created in this field of density is of this field of density. Even though to the mind of form, it may seem that it's out there, it's still part of this field of creation. And this is why there is a vast blessing in letting go, in being conscious that the physical and the emotional body may be suffering, as you become aware of the potency of being aware of that. And this is that moment where you are fully present to the knowing, outside of all sense of attachment, and yet with full cognizance of the moment and the smile of what it means. It's an arrival. And I'm sure there's some of you right now, I should probably take a moment and pause, because I'm confident there's some of you right now that are saying, OMG, what the heck is she talking about, right? How about relaxing into knowing that you know it? You can listen to this again, and I hope you do, especially if you're feeling that way. And if you're resonating with every word, listen to it again and let yourself go even further, because you're ready to do that as well. We all are. Remember, it is your veil. Your veil is your level of consciousness, or your level of consciousness is your veil. It plays either way. And so we are right now at the moment where you have this capacity to harvest, to utilize, to bring forward the fullness, the richness of the ancient medicines through conscious awareness. And I want you to really breathe that in, because there is this moment of being self-aware and self-evaluative, but you're beyond emotions. It's that moment where you're in a field of complete awareness, a moment of recognition of all that is emerging, which simultaneously reveals all that is needing to be balanced. So when we have these ancient medicine secrets, as many call them, I think it's really valuable, and it goes back to where I'd started earlier, is that in 2010, Sri and I consciously made a commitment that we would leave everything that would have told us to stay in the United States, at Tosa Ranch, which we adored and loved with all of our heart and soul, and went on an adventure that we had no idea would never bring us back, that my beloved husband ascended off the planet. We just had a feeling. And in that journey, leading into the medicine moments of now, we were so blessed to be honored and welcomed into the homes, the tribes, the traditions, the mysteries, the ancient secrets, the Mayan, living with the 𝐦𝐻𝐿 Maya for 7 years at Lake 𝐸𝐿𝐻, learning things that as a tourist you won't learn, being honored to not even know when we purchased it. It seemed to become our moniker, right? We had no idea that we purchased this land that had a pyramid on it, that had been an ancient ceremonial site, bringing that back to life. I remember, and if you have not read our book, 2013 Mayan Sunrise, read it. I swear we wrote it for right now. Go read it. It's still at Kindle, I believe, at Amazon. 2013 Mayan Sunrise by Sri and Kira. And to show you how asleep the world was then, that book is all about Guatemala, yet my publisher put a picture of 𝐦𝐻𝐿 𝐫𝐷𝐻 on it because everybody was just wanting to be bought and paid for then. And that's what is bringing us full circle. In the first experiences of the sacred medicines of the world of this Gaia, of the indigenous tribes that we were blessed to live among, all of them carry a sacred herb, a sacred plant. And it's not just one, but they all have the one that is held because of its deep cosmic roots, that is held because it has the deepest story woven around it. I remember the first time I stood on Don Simeon's altar in Guatemala after Sri and I had been thrown in the back of this vegetable truck and had no idea if we were coming home alive, going up the mountain into places that you just don't go, and being welcomed by all these beautiful men winding us through these very dark little alleys that were really, Sri was 6'1" and I'm 5'10" without shoes. And, so we're both wandering around. And I'll never forget, and this is all in 2013 Mayan Sunrise, being brought into this dark room with these little teeny benches. And there's all these little people, because, the Mayan were all like maybe 5 feet tall. And so there's all these people sitting there, and some have chickens, and some have eggs, and some have bundles of herbs, and some are crying, and some are just sitting there. And it was an altar to 𝐷𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 And Mashimon is always shown with his alcohol and his cigars, and everybody leaves in liquor. And it's really a place where like you leave your sorrows and you know that there's an altar for everybody. And I remember when Sri and I were called to the back of the room to a desk I didn't even know was there because my eyes had to adjust. It was so dark. And I remember we went to the back and Don Simeon looks up at us. And first time we had ever met him, and he had all of his seeds that he does readings with. He has seeds and crystals, part of their medicines. And he had all of his seeds and crystals there, and he started playing with them and playing with them. And he looked at, and when he was done, he on the desk, he went, boom, boom, like, yes. And he looked up, and he looked at Sri and I, and he said, come. And the next thing I knew, he was opening a door. I didn't even know was there because it was black metal against the black room. And all of a sudden, he's opening this door. And I swear this is Dorothy. This was Wonderland. He opens the door. There was so much light, I had to adjust my eyes. And the altar, and Sri and I were not allowed to take pictures, but there's sketches, and it's all in our book, 2013 Mayan Sunrise. It looked like a wedding cake, and it was huge. And there were 4 stairwells that went down at the 4 directions underneath. And there must have been, I don't even know how many Nagualis in that room, 2,500. And he shared with us the story about how this altar had been protected even from the conquistadors, that it had survived everything, and that it was all they had left. And that they had believed that Sri and I were coming, and that we came because there were many that were taking their stories and taking them for money. And that they as the years went on, they would cry in our arms, and we would have many ceremonies with them, and became written into the Book of Days, and many things happened. And the original altar is here at Tosa Blue Mountain now as well. And I share this with you because the sacred medicine that they were sharing with us at that moment was the medicine of sincerity, love, and presence, which is what all the plant medicines call forward, which is what consciousness itself is inviting you to remember, which is the weaving of those 5 medicines, which is what we're diving into deeply on these 2 episodes. When the Mayan people, and we were blessed to live with the 𝐦𝐿𝐫𝐞, but we lived among many others as well, the 𝐾𝐨, there were many other Mayans, there's 22 in Guatemala, so the languages were fun. But they were all agreeing on one thing, that they were sad that they had brothers who spoke English and proper Spanish that were making themselves rich, and that they were sad that their calendar was being abused. And they would sit in sacred circle and ask Sri and I to write about it, which is how 2013 Mayan Sunrise came to be. How we were transforming from these beautiful people of the corn to the people of the honey. And that how many would not want to make that decision. Many would not want to move to that way of being. But everything that meant. And the reason that I bring that first today, as we're diving into the medicine popularity of now, and the way that the medicines and all of the medicines are weaving back into our mainstream, our true nature. This is just part of what we have always been, what Gaia is trying to help us remember. But as all of these medicines are coming together right now, here we are. This was around 2010 when Sri and I first started seeing with the 𝐦𝐿𝐫𝐞, and they started crying and telling us about, the world's not going to end in 2012, and why are people lying about us, and all the things that they would ask us, and read the book 2013 Mayan Sunrise. And fast forward right now to today, 2024. Right now, the ancient medicines are being studied, they're being debated, they're being utilized, they're being positively characterized, negatively characterized. You have people from everywhere feeling that they can become instantaneous experts on this. You have ego entering into it. And I can share from someone who personally works with 27 tribes that are starving right now that I am unable to feed. I mean, this is that moment, guys, right? These tribes are protecting the medicines and have very few of the remaining authentic vines and plants left that are not being mass harvested and cultivated and produced for the sake of those that just want to make sure that you have a great experience and get paid a lot of money. And that's just the truth. So how do you know the difference? How do you know where to go? Well, first of all, if you can, come down to Ecuador and let me introduce you to some of these amazing people that don't even come out of the Amazon. They will come, but they don't. They stay. And those that are talking to us from the 𝐾𝐨 and the 𝐾𝐿. The 𝐾𝐿 are coming at the September equinox to Tosa Blue Mountain. Come, be part of this incredible 𝐬𝐽 ceremony. 𝐬𝐽 is their sacred plant. For them, it is a different ingredient that goes into a ayahuasca type product that is used solely for you to remember your cosmic consciousness. And so there's a level of awareness before they will even bring the medicine to be ingested. They had to come, they had to meet me. He had the head Taita had to stand in the pyramid of peace. This is the moment where authenticity is getting ready to receive the medicine of itself. Where for those that have held the authenticity, the reverence, the humility, that which is authentic will be brought to you. You will find yourself coming to it. It is also the moment where, through that same languaging, through the same patterning, through enough of the manipulation of the field of consciousness, all of the little Stepford wives of medicine are going to be out there. And the question is, where is your conscious awareness weaving the medicine? Where is it taking you? It's obviously taking you here. So something inside of you has already got a moment of expansive witnessing happening, right? That seventh dimensional field of non-judgment, that expansive witnessing. So when Sri and I were blessed to live among the Mayan and to learn their ways, one of the ways that the 5 medicines was formulating and running through them, and it's important to remember that the 5 medicines are here as the heartbeat, right? They're an Einstein-Rosen bridge that carries the heartbeat of your eternal nature, the heartbeat of consciousness itself. And then we have that 12 o'clock, so to speak, which is where we fall into that physical. And this is where the physical medicines are important, because they help wake that and get that moving again. Because the first thing the physical does is it needs the medicine of the emotional. And consider what happens when you need emotional medicine. This is where people, eat their emotions, right? The medicine could just be eating, overeating, addiction, because the physical in its desire and its desire to love itself and its desire not to feel anything other than the joy of being physical, it moves into an emotional bond with that emotional medicine, and the emotional body, the emotional medicine that feeds the emotional body, is one of the greatest traps. And because of that, when the emotional body begins to use the medicines or become a medicine itself, it throws a lasso, I like to call it, out for the mental, for someone to rescue it. And this is where the medicine of dogma also comes in, because dogma is very much a rescuer mentality. I am giving my power away is an emotional experience that has collapsed, saying, somebody rescue me. And that's when the mental comes championing in and will always rationalize a rescue in one way or another. And so in that 6 o'clock position, the mental is constantly at odds with the physical, mental, physical, mental. The two are constantly having a moment until the mental is able to move into the medicine of the spiritual. And the medicine of the spiritual is that which births the awareness. It brings forward what some might call even a coping mechanism. It's an awareness of the spin. It's an awareness there is a lot happening. It's an awareness there is more. That's the moment of the medicines. And it is in the spiritual medicine, in that 9 o'clock, that the 𝐬𝐽 is so powerful, because it's often that what many would perceive as a block, or a curiosity, but it's that moment where, when received through the sacred intention of, I am in this spiritual experience, now I want to really integrate it. I want to lift. I want to go from that 9 o'clock to the 12 o'clock. I want to anchor that. I want to bring the medicine of the totality of my life beyond a temporary hallucinogenic experience. I want to really anchor the gift of consciousness itself. That's when the medicine, when called forward by one that is mastered in the consciousness of that medicine, that's when that journey becomes the life-altering conscious experience that is calling you to look for that journey to begin with. And those journeys are very unique. And really breathe that in. I think you can feel the totality of what I just shared with you. You know, one way I like to share that is that, as we mentioned earlier, you know, this cosmic heart, right? We're all about coming into this cosmic heart, lifting up, really remembering ourselves as this eternal presence, letting go of the limitation. And I think what's important to realize here is that one of our most important medicines in this planet is water, and the gift of water. And to remember that water itself has consciousness. And I want to remind you, if you're not familiar with the work of my dear friend Veda Austin, go to Veda, VEDA, Austin.com. Go there. Check out her extraordinary science, because this incredible woman from New Zealand has shown us how to have consciousness, how to have water speak to us. And what I loved was that when I sent her the 𝐸𝐵𝐸 symbol, which is the universal heartbeat, it is the symbol of the universal heartbeat. It is the 𝐸𝐵𝐸, it is the in-breath, it is the out-breath, it is the eternal potentiality, it is the spinning wheel of the ascended heart. It is the universal heartbeat, which is just 𝐸𝐵𝐸, I am as you are, namaste, Shiva Hom, all of that. When that symbol was placed to the water, what came back from the water when Veda did the experiment was literally the tree of life itself. And I want you to really breathe that in, that the water said, I am the tree of life. You are the tree of life. Your eternal heartbeat is the medicine. It is the remembering of that all of the other traditions have come up. And so I want you to breathe that in and know that, because in our next episode, I'm going to go through all the traditions. I'm going to go through ayahuasca. I'm going to go through San Pedro. I'm going to go through the 5 medicines even more. I'm going to invite you to dive deeper. But for this week, I invite you to really let go of anything other than listening to this episode again and really wrapping around the consciousness of medicine itself and the way it supports your life every day. We are all sacred medicine. And the revelation at this moment of the medicines is hand in hand with your ability to call greater consciousness. Make sure you visit 𝐟𝐸𝐴nd_𝐾𝐨.com. Check out coming here for the September equinox, and why not see what the medicine with those that are awake and are carrying the lineage can do. It's a powerful moment to be in the authenticity of your divine nature. I love you and look forward to being with you again really soon. Namaste. Thank you for joining me on Expanding Consciousness. Learn more about the yoga of self-ascension at 𝐟𝐸𝐴nd_𝐾𝐨.com, and make sure you're subscribed to YouTube official 𝐟𝐸 and Kira. Remember, you are the gift. I love you and look forward to being with you again. Namaste.